just bad ideas. And again, this ugly streak,
Well, you look
ugly streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's, Bernie is,
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is, I mean, he's not a capitalist,
No, he's not. And he's also not president.
He's not, but
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people, they boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Bill Maher is back with another biting critique, and this time, his focus is on the Democrats and one of their rising stars, Zohran Mani. In his latest monologue, Maher breaks down what he views as the growing fractures within the DNC, warning that the party's current trajectory and Mani's brand of democratic socialism could pose serious risks to its future. It is a sharp, unfiltered look at where American politics may be headed next. Buckle up, this one worth your attention.
It seems to me that there are two pillars that this country is founded on. One is democracy, and one is capitalism, free markets. And it seems like one party wants to get rid of one, and the other party wants to get rid of the other, right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these, 74% are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these two pillars?
Let's get one thing straight: Republicans don't have a problem with democracy. They have a problem with double standards. For years, they've watched left-leaning media outlets and their allies go after them, especially former President Donald Trump, with a steady stream of biased coverage and sensational headlines. The message always seemed clear: discredit the GOP at any cost. These relentless attacks haven't just damaged reputations, they've eroded public trust in journalism and widened the nation's political divide. So, the real question is this: if misinformation and manufactured narratives have done so much harm, shouldn't those responsible be held to account? Because democracy doesn't survive on spin, it survives on truth, fairness, and transparency.
If we don't, I mean, where are the Democrats going with this? If Mamdani is the face of the Democrats on the East Coast and Katie Porter is the face on the West Coast, I don't know if that's great politically for that party.
Bill Maher is raising some valid questions here. Both Zohran Mani and Katie Porter have emerged as prominent voices in the Democratic Party, sparking intense debate over the nation's political direction. Mani, a self-described democratic socialist, pushes for policies like rent freezes, publicly owned grocery stores, free public transit, and higher taxes on corporations and the wealthy, a vision that, while idealistic to some, leans toward greater government control of the economy. Porter, meanwhile, has taken a strong stance on allowing transgender-identifying men to compete in women's sports, framing her argument around inclusion and equality. On the surface, both seem to advocate fairness and progress, but Maher points out that beneath those ideals lies a more complex reality, one that challenges notions of fairness, economic viability, and the delicate balance between compassion and practicality in shaping America's future.
New York is New York. It's definitely it's the media capital, the financial capital. It is a bellwether like no other city is in this country. So don't tell me that who the mayor of New York is doesn't matter.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Do you think, let's say, on the seize the means of production, do you think that the mayor, that one person, if he is a democratic socialist, do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to, usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party nationally.
I think the Republicans are going to...
When you let the Democrat socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. The state-run grocery stores, which work so well in Cuba and the Soviet Union and Venezuela.
Did you catch what Maher said right at the start? He warned that electing Zohran Mani could all but guarantee a win for J.D. Vance or whichever candidate the GOP puts forward. And frankly, he got a point. Many voters understand the real-world consequences of drifting too close to socialism, and they're not willing to gamble on it. America's political pendulum swings quickly, and when one side leans too far left, the other inevitably gains strength. Maher's message is clear and cutting. If Democrats continue to rally behind figures like Mandani, whose policies echo socialist ideals, they risk driving away the moderates and independents who ultimately decide elections. In that scenario, the 2028 race could easily tilt in the GOP favor. Mandani's rise isn't just a New York phenomenon, it's a warning sign for the entire Democratic Party.
Just bad ideas, and again, this ugly streak.
Well, you look
ugly streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's Bernie? Bernie is
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is. I mean, he's not a capitalist.
No, he's not, and he's also not president.
He's not. But
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, but he will. Trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people. They boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Exactly. Mandani may end up being his own biggest obstacle. His vision of a socialist-style system sounds admirable on paper, promising fairness, equity, and broad government support, but in practice, it raises serious concerns about personal freedom, economic stability, and long-term sustainability. Beyond policy, Mandani has also drawn criticism for his outspoken positions on Israel and a string of controversial posts that have split public opinion. While his words may energize a passionate base, they alienate a far larger share of voters who see them as divisive or disconnected from mainstream America. In today's political arena, perception is everything, and Mandani's rhetoric often overshadows his intent. To many Americans, his platform feels too radical, too risky, and too far removed from the practical realities of governing, making his path to national leadership a steep uphill climb.
But they'll do it regardless. Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, but they make anybody into boogeyman. I think it was
just have more weight when it's real. I mean, when you can really show.
Ironically, the very figures this liberal commentator cites as victims of conservative attacks have largely sabotaged themselves. Take Gavin Newsom, for example. His troubles didn't stem from a right-wing smear campaign, they came from his own leadership failures during the catastrophic Palisades fires in California. He appeared woefully unprepared, with too few fire crews available, and to make matters worse, vital water resources that could have saved homes were diverted to protect fish habitats. Then there's Nancy Pelosi, whose reputation didn't need outside help to take a hit. Allegations of insider trading that reportedly netted her millions did that on their own. It almost comical, the liberal elite often claim they're victims of misrepresentation, yet their own actions and priorities have done more to damage their credibility than any critic ever could.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mandani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah.
Mandani has clearly struck a chord with younger Democratic voters, but much of that enthusiasm seems rooted in idealism rather than real-world understanding. Many of his supporters haven't lived through, or fully studied, the harsh realities of communism. To them, it sounds like a noble vision: equality for all, fair wealth distribution, and power in the hands of the people. On paper, it reads like a dream. But history paints a far darker picture, one marked by economic collapse, repression, and the erosion of personal freedom. From the Soviet Union to Cuba and Venezuela, nations that embraced similar systems have struggled under their own weight. Still, the appeal endures among young voters who see it as a kinder, more humane alternative to capitalism. What they often overlook, however, is that beneath the promise of equality lies a pattern of control, censorship, and the suppression of individual drive, the very freedoms democracy is meant to protect.
Every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need Every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess.
Exactly. History has shown time and again that socialism fails far more often than it succeeds. Yet many young Democrats seem eager to give it another shot as if believing their version will somehow be the one that finally gets it right. But we don't need to repeat the same mistakes to understand their consequences. The lessons are already written in decades of economic hardship and social collapse across nations that embrace socialist ideals. The pattern never changes. Grand promises of equality and fairness give way to shortages, censorship, and the erosion of freedom. Rather than revisiting failed experiments, we should learn from them and recognize that, while capitalism is far from perfect, it still fosters innovation, opportunity, and upward mobility, the very principles socialism has consistently undermined.
So, when the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
So, you see, Maher is absolutely right. If the Democrats were to put forward a Mandani, Ocasio-Cortez ticket in 2028, it would almost certainly be a political disaster. Sure, that pairing might energize a small faction of the younger, far-left base, but it would alienate the broader electorate, especially older, moderate, and working-class voters. These are people who have seen firsthand how extreme policies can damage an economy and fracture a society. The older generation, in particular, would see past the catchy slogans and recognize that such a ticket offers ideology over stability. What the Democrats need now isn't more purity-tested balance, pragmatism, and a connection to everyday concerns. A Mandani, AOC ticket might sound bold on paper, but in reality, it would only deepen divisions and push voters toward a more centrist or conservative alternative.
It's not about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are. I think it's because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
What the Democrats truly need right now is a candidate grounded in reality, someone who understands the everyday challenges facing ordinary Americans. For too long, the party has been caught in echo chambers, focused on abstract debates and identity politics, while voters worry about the rising cost of living, job security, and economic stability. People aren't waking up thinking about ideological battles, they're thinking about paying rent, buying groceries, and keeping their families afloat. To rebuild trust, Democrats must step outside their political and cultural bubbles and start engaging with voices beyond their own circles. They need a leader who can bridge the gap between progressive ideals and practical solutions, someone who connects with the country not just politically, but emotionally and economically. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.